Hi Pisces, this is your astrology reading for October for all sun, moon, rising, and Venus signs. I'm sorry, Spirit was intercepting something or throwing me off. This is your sun, moon, rising, Venus signs for Pisces for the month of October. I do feel weighed down. I feel weighed down, and you're really getting in some depth emotionally. Your unconsciouses are coming forward. Some morals and some ethics are really starting to jar your mind, is what I'm getting from Spirit for the most part. You're seeing responsibilities in a new way. Authority in a new way. But I do feel weighed down, like it's been hard on you. Like you're trying to lift the heart. And that's a part of what you'll be working throughout the month of October. At least that's what I'm picking up right off the bat. Now, as I get into astrology, I'm going to give you, the main high points of what's going on for the month. Then I'm going to give you some of those little pieces of information that I usually pull out that not everybody else looks at. And I'll try to go over every one of the houses. I'm going to try to make them only in 30 minutes so that it's fair. That way I'm just putting it out there. I do state that if you're watching it and you're not the sun sign of Pisces, it's a moon, rising, or a Venus sign. On any of the astrology readings that I do, Venus signs are going to be more about sensitivity to the subjects, more than about love. Just want to make sure that I throw it out there. That way, that's the way that it comes through for me when I'm doing work. And like I said, if what I'm giving you for the month isn't in depth enough, that's because I'm doing it from a universal standpoint and not trying to get too deep. You can always, look at the information down below and contact me directly, and we can book appointments for you. I'd be more than happy to help you out on a more personal level. And plus, on a personal level, it's just going to be more in-depth to you and your own personal life. With that being said, also, if you do enjoy the astrology, please go back and check out the tarot if you're into that, because you may find in your sun, moon, rising, or Venus that the tarot readings were also having information for you. But with that being said, let's just jump right in. October is going to be a powerful month. I do everything off of my other phone. It's going to be a powerful month. But before I pull up the astrology and start digging through it, I'm just going to give you some of the important pieces. October 3rd, Pluto is going direct. Now, I've been saying up until October 3rd that the energy is kind of just like, I put it like the energy of the drop tower. And that's because I live here by King's Dominion. The drop tower, if you don't live in this area, or if you live in around an amusement park, the energy of it, of how I'm finding Pluto and how it was reacting with that whole Saturn energy, it's a ride that takes you way up in the air, and then you kind of sit there and you float for a while, and it seems to leave you up in the air for too long. It's like, okay, we got up here. You're ever gonna let us come back down? It's like we're floating. We're up here. We get a little anxiety after a little bit. Are you gonna bring us back down? The ride's supposed to go up and then you drop us, and it's like they hold you up there until you just start to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, and then it drops. That is how the energy is starting off for the month. It's that floating, waiting, and everything's about to drop and start moving. That is going to be the energy of Pluto going direct on the 3rd. Now, on the 3rd, that's a Thursday. You also have Mercury, which we will be moving into Scorpio. This month has got a lot of Scorpio going on. A lot of the energies are coming, out of that Libra and into that Scorpio. A whole lot of Scorpio going on, even though it starts out with us still in Libra season. Then on the 4th, you have Mars moving into Libra. On the 8th, you have Venus leaving Libra, going into Scorpio. On the 13th, you have the full moon in Aries. Now, the full moon technically is 3 days long. Some people want to see it more as 5, but I typically hold it at the 3. On the day of the full moon, which happens to be a Sunday, the 13th, it is fully in Aries. But I'm still going to say for the day before, when you're starting to pick up that full moon energy, it will be going through a void, of course, from Pisces into Aries. So it's the end of a cycle. It's walking through a little bit of that universal 12th house and then jumping into the first house. So it's ending something, beginning something. Aries is a great starting point and energy. It also has a lot of me first energy. And right now this has got a lot of healing of thyself going on. So it is a good place. But I will warn you, on the 12th, on Saturday, you might be dealing with some unconscious 12th house issues that are coming up. Dealing with some subconscious, some hidden self, some karmic debts, self-deceptions, self-sabotage, self-undoing, grief, sorrow, shame, blame, maybe popping up on that very first day of that full moon, the 12th. And then as you move into the 13th and it's into Aries, it's helped project the idea of the transformation of what's meant to happen as you're releasing, surrendering, and letting go of those situations that have been brought to light the day before of that full moon. Like I said, full moon is 3 days long. The next 2 days is Aries, and then it starts to move into Taurus. You have the 23rd, the sun moves into Scorpio as well. On the 27th, you have a new moon in Scorpio with both the sun and the moon there. All right. And on the 31st, Samhain, Halloween, it's a major powerful day. First off, you have Mercury that's going retrograde, which reminds you, pretty much going all the way back to the 14th of the month, you're pretty much getting Mercury going into shadow. So it's going into a darker aspect of things prior to its Mercury retrograde. And then you also have the moon, Ceres, which is karmic energy, the threefold energy. It's also what you nurture and what you neglect. And Jupiter, all pretty much in the same 3 degrees in Sagittarius, the same day as Samhain, Halloween. Like I said, and Mercury will be going retrograde on that day, so that's going to be a very powerful day. Now, what most people who are, all going on about it being Libra season until the sun moves into Scorpio on the 23rd, you're hearing so much at this time about relationships, and so many of the astrologers are going to be like, well, it's in Libra, so we're talking about finding justice in the relationships, and Libra is all about, wanting to find harmony and balance and beauty. And that is true. However, what they're not paying attention to is how Maya and Make, or Maki, however you pronounce it technically, are both also in Libra with all of these energies. Libra is typically the universal 7th house. For you, I think that makes it the 6th. No, the 8th. I was going the wrong way. Which is relationships and what they're responsible for. And I'll get into all of that in a minute. But how Maya is the collective consciousness. And Make is what is considered the lotus flower. Spirit does tell me that we need to understand we're trying to rise up and mature like the lotus flower does. We're trying to rise up out of our muddy, murky waters. We're trying to rise up out of our karmic lessons. And we're trying to break through that frothy, funky bit of where the water is taking its shift. And we want to get into the bloom. Spirit says specifically, we want to get to where we can smell the bloom. We want to smell the flowers. So this is part of what this month is about. Understand that that collective consciousness and that level of where you are on the lotus flower in Libra is what's changing that relationship zone. And for you, that's the relationship zone and what the responsibilities are within those relationships. Because, like I said, you're going to have, for the most part, you're going to have Venus and Mercury in this energy. So it's bringing communication, sensitivity, and don't forget, Mercury's going to be going into shadow around the 14th. So you're going to be looking, I'm sorry, but you're going to be looking at a little bit more of those darker aspects within those relationships, those joint finances within those relationships, death, rebirth, regeneration, as well as wills, contracts, the very act of sex, joint resources. Whatever is the responsibility to the relationship are going to be what's bringing its attention to you. Venus is sensitive. Okay, Venus is sensitive, and the communication is going to be in a little bit of a darker place, bringing in collective consciousness and going, how do we rise to where the flowers are blooming? And you're going to be looking through what part of the partnerships are going to make that work, or is never going to make that work, so that you're seeing the depth of it and what are the responsibilities and creating the depth of those relationships, being able to transform into something healing and positive with growth. You have Vista, which is actually in retrograde, and most people are not going to be speaking to you about Vista. Vista is in your third house. This is your communication. Vista is the home and the hearth. She's where the fire grows. She's the soul fire itself. Okay? So the soul fire is kind of only communicating inwardly to you with extra communication. That doesn't mean that it's negative, but that it does mean she's connecting with you about what is important for you to understand about yourself, so that you can communicate yourself in healthy ways by first understanding yourself and then moving forward into how you communicate outwardly. But she's in Taurus, which happens to be for you the communication house, which then puts it back into the energy of Mercury. We're talking about communication. So some of this is going to be in shadow. So you're going to be looking at darker aspects of yourself that has to heal, and what you're not bringing into that healing, so that you can communicate to yourself what needs to be done and then correct that within yourself and then in the outer community. Taurus, though, is where it is, and Taurus is not exactly comfortable with change. So it is going to be in a situation that you're going to have to rise to. You're going to have to look at some things about yourself that may not be exactly the prettiest of things. But in order to clean those things up within yourself, you must first view them. You have Pallas, which is also going to be in Scorpio all month. Okay, like I said, Scorpio has a lot of energy going on. Most people aren't going to talk to you about Vista, Pallas, how Maya, make. They're going to leave all of that stuff out. Pallas is Athena, the warrior goddess. So for you, most of that energy that's starting to shift is going to be in your 9th house, which is bringing you to a new level of your soulfulness, a new level of your spirituality. And Pallas is your inner strategic thinking. She's your warrior goddess. Like Mars is the warrior, she's your warrior goddess, but she has strategic thinking. She knows how to analyze and do things just like so that she can bring victory to you. So allow her in that higher self energy, because for me, that 9th house is always the higher self. For you, it's in Scorpio. So for you, it's speaking to you at this time with what's going on. You've got the new moon coming in at the end of the month. Halloween, Samhain coming in at the end of the month. This is definitely a time of a new level of reflection, but a new level of higher consciousness. You're coming to a different level of understanding your true soul depths, but you have to be willing to listen to them so that they can redesign where it needs to go. Pallas is there to help you, and that's a very positive thing. Plus, you have Mercury, like I said, which will partially be in shadow in that Scorpio energy as you approach the end of the month. And then you will also have Venus there, the sun there, bringing extra illumination to that ninth house in general, which is your philosophy, your religion, your law, your learning, your higher education, your higher self. It's your spark of connection to the consciousness, to the very consciousness of your authenticity and your oneness. Speaking to you of your ethics, your morals, your spiritual urges, your visions, your dreams, your psychic energy, as well as your psychic traveling journeying energy. So it's bringing a new higher approach to your higher self and a new connection, and it's definitely helping you to understand things about yourself that needs to shift so that you can get more right with self. And I'm also being told it will be bringing up situations, because now I'm being directed to move on to Jura is in Virgo. So it's also going to be talking to you about specific patterns of yourself, but that's going to be showing itself in Virgo. For you, that's going to be your seventh house, where these relationships are. So within the relationships, the marriages, the partners, the business contracts, your divorce, separation, lawsuits, and even open enemies, anything you care about, you have a relationship with. And relationships are not just about your husband, your wife, your spouse, your children, your family, your extended family, like your parents, grandparents. It's also your working environment. It's also, you have a relationship with your money. When you have no money, you know about that relationship with that lack of money. So anything that you care about is going to be showing itself to you. But it's going to be showing you, because it's also Virgo for you, what happens to be properly organized, properly in details. What are the details that you're overlooking that are actually not serving you? What are you turning your head on and saying, it's going to be okay, when really it's not? And it's going to be bringing itself to your attention. Something about your patterns, your routines. I always say the people, places, and things that are in our life is what we consume. Are you consuming energies, patterns within these relationships that are healthy or unhealthy? And it's time for you to acknowledge that, because this is the time to change those patterns to serve you more soulfully, by acknowledging where these patterns within these relationships have not served you well in the past. Now, when I get into the astrology itself, you've had in your very first house, which is your self-awareness, your identity, your image, your view of life, your appearance, your physical body. You've had Neptune here for quite a while. Neptune is in retrograde. Neptune in retrograde, for one, Neptune is always about, where illusion meets fantasy and smacks you in the face with reality. So it has the ability to create magic, but it also has the ability to create ill magic. And with it being in retrograde, it does hold on to a lot of nostalgia. Okay, so you may be looking back at your own awareness of yourself and past ideas, and drop that. The past is the past for a reason. You are who you are today, and you are who you're moving forward to be. If you're holding on to the past idea, good or bad, that does not necessarily mean that that's helpful or healing to you. All that matters is your pursuit of pleasure and understanding who it is you want to be and how you want to be seen, viewed, and the core of who and what you are, and what are you putting into that. And then allow that magic to work with you. Plus, you have Lilith in this energy still. Lilith is definitely speaking to that sacral chakra about how you feel about yourself. And she's either going to be tearing you down or building you up, depending on where your mindset is. Lilith, like I said, is like your sexual temptress, but she is definitely speaking to the community about how you feel about yourself. So it's important that you get on the positive and healthy about yourself. If you look in the mirror and you feel good about yourself, it's definitely a different feeling from when you look in the mirror and you're like, what the hell has happened here? Okay? I'm saying this is about getting on your own self-awareness of where you've been negative, flipping that over, and it's time to be uplifting and bright again. Okay? Now, in your universal second house, you have Chiron here. Chiron is in Aries, which is also the universal first house, but for you, it's the second house. It's speaking to you of how you create and spend your money. It's the possessions of small things, but it's also your self-worth, your self-value, and your self-esteem. Chiron is the wounded healer. It is going to be picking again at where some of those negative ideas of yourself is, but not picking on you to pick on you. It's picking on you to ask you, why? Why do you feel this way in some of these more negative aspects about your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem? Get to the root of what's created the idea, the thought, the acceptance of that negative thing, and why the self-worth, the self-value, the self-esteem isn't at a peaking all-new high positive level. It's asking you to acknowledge this. Chiron is the wounded healer. It's looking for where the wounds are and what needs to be healed. And then as you feel better about yourself, you also are able to bring more money to you because that's more of a positive thing. All right. Now in that universal third house, you have Uranus and Vesta. Again, Vesta is in retrograde, moving towards Uranus. All right. Uranus is your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom. You're very shocked and awe of who and what you are. But that's in your communication zone. This is also the very short journeys, the things that we do take advantage of. We take for granted, sorry, is what I just heard. Take for granted within the transportation, like to the store, to 7-Eleven, those very up close situations, your neighbors, the things that are in the communication that you just blurt out, but you don't realize how important or how powerful they are. You have your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom speaking to you in this energy with Vista about the soul fire. So you're most likely kind of blurting this stuff out. You might have a little bit more of what I call word vomit, kind of letting your emotions out, or else you're supposed to be and you're having problems actually allowing that to happen. I feel like you're in a position of, I don't really want to do anything. I don't really want to move. I feel like you're not able to get your wings and fly. So this is either you're not speaking it or you're just speaking it and you're not allowing anybody else to speak. But this is definitely going to be important for you to understand your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, and your freedom, your true soul understanding of that communication and how you communicate it outwardly. Because if you're not, then you're not going to be able to speak your mind and move forward in healthy ways. Gemini, at this time, for you has nothing there other than that the North Star is always there. This is where the karmic lessons are learned. This is where the reincarnation is made. This is where you find your inner emotional security. The North Star is always the hope. It is always the seed that is planted and you're waiting for it to mature and grow. And in this area, it's very curious about who and what you are and what you're trying to grow at this time, because there's nothing else there to confuse its energy. So it's asking you to figure out who you want to be, who you're trying to change into, where you're trying to take that authentic self and grow and mature as you are trying to make this transformational change. In the 5th house, you have, it's Cancer, where the North Node is here at the moment. This is where your pursuit of pleasure is, where your love situations take place, your personal interests that make you enjoy life. The North Node is asking you to get out and take part in these things, because these are the things that are going to make you, help you find positivity, help you reclaim joy into your life, and bring that enjoyment of life back to you. It is the pursuit of pleasure itself. It's saying in order for you to get right, you have to allow yourself to enjoy. So it's asking you what you enjoy, and within that what you enjoy, that helps you bring back to you your inner emotional security. Connect with what you enjoy, not what everybody else is telling you should enjoy, but what you enjoy. And, build in that understanding of that energy. Nest in it. Allow yourself to have the chance to, mature and grow in something that you enjoy. Don't worry about what everybody else thinks. It's your life. It's what you enjoy, what you like, and with that brings you happiness to help you move forward. Now, in that universal 6th house, that is Leo. You also don't have anything there at that moment, which is talking to you about your daily work, your diet, your health, your hygiene, your ability to work, but it's also those daily mundane tasks. It's Leo for you. You don't really have a problem with roaring in this energy of, what is important within these tasks and being able to be courageous and get up and keep doing it. But this is speaking to you of the lion energy, those daily tasks, those daily patterns. It's the grind that you have to do every day. Are you enjoying that grind? That's what I'm saying. Are you enjoying that grind? It takes you back to that universal 5th house and asks you to get right with what's making you happy within these patterns and adjust these patterns so that they're things that are making you happy, and create them into the daily mundane tasks so that you're finding that happiness. Now you also have, again, in that universal 7th house, 7th house for you is Vista. You have, everybody is moving out of Vista except for Ura. You're going to have Mars there until the 4th, but everybody is moving out of that universal 7th house, which is the relationship zone. It is, everything that you care about within your relationships, from your money to your friends to your loved ones, your parents, your children, your working environment, the relationship itself. How are these relationships? And it's asking you, what is the sacrifice and commitment that both you give and that you are receiving? Or is it fair? Are you receiving justice within those relationships? Or is it a fair, even exchange? It's a moment of temperance so that you can understand, you're not going to be in these relationships anymore. These are the ones that are fair. These are the ones that are good. Yeah, you have to go. You see what I'm saying? If it should be that even understand, is asking you where the sacrifice and commitment is, where you put it in and where the others put it in, and acknowledging the truth of it. That is where a real relationship is. The rest are fake relationships with fake ideas of what is good and loving and right for relationships. And you're acknowledging a higher level of what relationships are important for you to have in your life. Now, as you move into that 8th house, like I said, this is where everything is coming for you right now. You're going to have that new moon at the end of the month on the 27th, but you're going to have had Mercury here, Mercury here then, Mars here then. You're going to have, not Mars, you're going to have Mercury here. You're going to have Venus here. You're going to have the Sun here. You're going to have Pallas here. You're going to have the Moon here as you come into the 27th near the end of the month where that new moon is. And you're going to see exactly what in these relationships you're keeping and you're letting go of. Because of what are the rules, the walls, and the boundaries. What is joint finances, joint efforts, joint resources, and how is that going to be healthy or not? And you're going to be putting your foot down and saying, this is the way it's going to be. Then you're going to hit that 9th house, which I've already been speaking about. You're going to be dealing with all of that on your higher self, starting to understand where that's going. I'm going to start part 2 in just a second because I'm almost done, but I'm not going to short you. Come back for part 2 so you can hear the last part of the astrology. Bye, guys.